and certainly got into the thoughts of the woman, young woman, and her impressions of Canada. Good for you, Alan. Thank you so much. It's my real privilege to present Marylee. You're going to really enjoy what she does. She's going to, you're not going to read them, you're going to recite the quote, stories from public transit. You're in for a treat. Welcome, Marylee Stephenson.
I often do like at the Flame or the Vancouver Story Slam, so I do that kind of storytelling. I also do stand-up. We've met a lot of places like that. And some of my things are published. If you know the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, they have a journal every month, and most of the time I have what I call vignettes in them. And sometimes I write them first and then end up telling them the stories, and sometimes I do stories and they end up being written. I have a YouTube channel if you ever want to check it out. And this one I did recently actually at the Slam, actually, the Vancouver Story Slam, which is another venue you might find interesting. So it is, people sometimes say, well, where do you get stories? And I always say, well, if you want to find stories, you just hop on the public transit. Because you got everything there. They're every kind of literary theme. They're Atwoodian, they're Monrovian, they're everything you could possibly want there. And for instance, a theme of pride. I was on the bus, and you know how our buses, they kneel, right? They move down so that people have any kind of mobility issue or with a child can get on them. And so the bus did the hissing sounds, you know, and it goes down, and then there's somebody out there and who's yelling, lift it up. And the driver doesn't quite get this, and the person yells again, lift it up. And then finally one says, and the person says, I don't need this, I don't need it, lift it up. And I saw that it was an older woman, and for her it was a matter of pride, that she didn't need that she could hop right up there and get on that bus. And then there's also compassion. I live on the North Shore, and it happened that I had a pretty regular route for a while. Going up to the gym kind of thing, to the swimming pool. And I was on there one day, and there was this young woman, probably around 20, nicely dressed, and she was standing right next to the bus driver. Just you know, there's a red line you're not supposed to go over for, you know, safety reasons, and she's leaning against the kind of partition. She's got a little backpack holding it in front, and she's leaning against there, and she's talking. And she's talking, and she's talking, and she's talking. And I mean, I know we're not on the public transit for meditation, but I must say I did find it a little irritating. It just went on and on and on. Although I did notice the bus driver was talking back and forth with her. And, you know, I didn't think that much one way or the other. And the next day, same thing, same time, same bus, same young woman. Talking away, talking away. And I realized that her life was the buses. She knew everything about the bus system, and she knew every driver. And she said, oh yeah, she's talking again to the same driver. Bill just loves that route because he likes the scenery so much. And then, oh yeah, and Jim, he really likes that one because the hours are really great. And it became clear that again, that somehow, she may have been what we call OCD or something, a little obsessed with these buses. But it was almost like it was a home to her. But I, meanwhile, was still feeling, in my unkind way, irritated. That it was just, you know, yak. And though very cogent, you know, very well spoken. And so then she did get off at her stop. A little while later, it's mine. And so I am standing then, more or less next to the bus driver, ready to get off. And so I say to the bus driver, aren't people supposed to stand behind the red line? You know, and you and I both know, and she knows that I'm saying, why didn't you make that young person shut up, or something? And the bus driver says, it's okay for her to talk. She's lonely. Well, comeuppance for me. There's also on the bus, sex. I was hearing these two guys, you know, probably mid-20s, they're talking. And one of them is explaining why his relationship has ended. He's saying, I just came back to the place and it was empty. She had taken everything of hers. And I went over to her house, and the parents had a restraining order out on me, so I couldn't talk to anybody. And all we had, neither of us had a job, we had no money, so we could just sit there in that room and just, you know, like having sex and playing video games all day, it doesn't really cut it. And then he pauses and says, I think she wanted something different, which I can well imagine. And then, I myself sort of became a story just a week or so ago. And it was when we were having, of course, the terribly cold weather, right? And I had on a tube, this is relevant, I had on a tube, you know, like all the way down to here, you know, just completely covered. And I get on the bus, it's fairly crowded, I have only a few stops to go. And so I get on the bus and walk towards the back between people, because I'm gonna, you know, be getting out soon. And the bus doesn't move. And I thought, strange, you know, there must be, and you know, somebody getting on or something. And the bus driver, I hear it's a woman bus driver, and she says courtesy seats. And I, you know, didn't think anything about that. You know, the buses have those seats that come up that you can clear for a baby stroller or something like that. Nothing happens. And she says again, courtesy seats. And nothing happens. And then finally she says, I want a courtesy seat or this bus doesn't move. And I'm thinking, well, where is I haven't heard a baby a stroller. I haven't, you know, seen anybody with a walker. What is she talking about? And so I look back towards the front of the bus, and everybody's looking at me because because I'm supposed to take a courtesy seat because I'm a senior. And so one guy sort of leaps up, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm thinking too, okay, I'm 70, I jogged 61 minutes this morning, you know, like it's not real, but anyway, then, so I sort of made a move towards it and the bus moves. And so I started thinking, well, okay, I accept that I'm 70 and everything, but I always figured that the sort of thing that people would pick up on me for age was my hair. You know, it would be the color of my hair, that it's gray. But my hair was covered. So then I had the face. What they're going for is my face. And then I think, wow, well from now on, if I want to sit wherever I want and not go through this, I'm going to have to wear a hoodie and a ski mask. Or on the other hand, I just accept this, walk in the ordinary way, the first person in a courtesy seat, I just go, hey, you up. I'm traveling free and big today. Thank you.